Hey, Mama, welcome back to the Birth Experience. I'm recording this intro for an episode that I did with Lauren. She is a labor and delivery nurse who is passionate about helping moms choose a faith over fear during birth. So if you're struggling with birth anxiety or you want to create a faith-centered birth plan, this episode is for you. So let's get comfortable and dive into choosing faith over fear in birth. Hello, Lauren. I'm so excited to do this episode with you. How are you today?
So good, Trish. How are you doing?
I'm good. So what I've already kind of given an introduction, but I would love you to just tell everyone your story and how, like, even I'm not even sure I've heard your labor nurse story, but kind of tell
Oh,
like how you got to where you're at
yeah.
and then what you're doing now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I've been a labor and delivery nurse for 10 years. Growing up, though, I was never interested in medicine. I was the hair, just
What about
thinking
birth? Anything with
oh
birth
no,
or no? Okay, okay.
absolutely not.
Okay,
It's
because
it's total
I've been obsessed with birth always.
Yeah, no, it's totally been like I am where I'm at for a reason. And I feel like God's called me here for a purpose, but that was
Yeah.
never my plan.
Yeah.
So
That's
when I was
always the best thing though, right? When it comes to God.
Yeah, exactly. When
Yeah.
I was in high school, my grandma, she ended up having cancer and being put on hospice. And so when I was 16, I lived with her and I took care
Mm.
of her in the hospice setting.
So you moved out of your own home and
Yeah,
stayed.
for 3 months.
Just for you guys, because I know Lauren because she's also in my coaching mastermind, and this is just a definition of who you are.
You're so
You
sweet.
have such a spirit of servanthood. I feel
Thank you.
that's insane. Most 16-year-olds are sneaking out their window.
Well, there's some of that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. We're going to get to the
But
juice. Okay.
yeah, but yeah, so I lived with her in the hospital in the inpatient hospice side for 3 months and just took care of her. And, my naive 16-year-old self, I saw what the nurses were doing and I was like, oh, I could do that.
No. Yeah.
Like, what are they even doing? Emptying the Foley. I could do that.
At 16,
Yeah, I was like that. Like,
I would have been like, no, thank you.
that's so funny. Yeah, I
No.
fed her, I bathed her, I did most of her cares and slept on the couch in her room with her. And it was a hard season, but it was so beautiful because that's why I became a nurse.
Were
I
you
was
already a Christian at that point?
No.
Okay, gosh. I feel like I'm just getting to know you in a whole new level right
Yes.
now.
Yeah, so I was not raised a Christian at all. I really
Okay.
didn't. So that was when I was 16. I met Jesus when I was 18 at a Young Life camp.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Back to
Yeah.
changing grandma's bedpan and
Yes.
bathing her.
Yeah, so
Cause
I took care.
that's not easy.
No, no, but I loved her and this is like
Yeah.
what you do, right?
Yeah. Well, not everybody knows that, but
Yeah.
yes, that is
Yes.
what we should do.
Right. So yeah, I took care of her and then she ended up passing away, but it was still like beautiful. I was thankful for the experience that I had with her and the closeness that we had
Mm.
together. And after all of that, I was like, you know what? I want to be a nurse. And so I went to nursing school. I graduated when I was like 21, 22. Just went straight through and I started working in oncology and hospice. So
Okay.
it just
I
happened.
started in school. I worked on an oncology floor.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful place to work. I really disagreed with how the hospital ran it. I would have 6 to 8 patients and giving chemo to half of them. And
Yeah.
it was just really hard.
And no time to meet the other needs that they have,
Yes.
which is so important.
Yes, I agree. I did have a lot of sweet experiences getting to pray over my families though in that season of being a hospice nurse. And so that was beautiful. But yeah, so in nursing school, every single labor and delivery clinical that I did, I blacked out.
Shut it.
Yeah.
Shut
I was in an
like a
epidural.
legit,
Oh
like
yeah.
legit.
Oh yeah. Hit the
So,
floor.
so did you hear my story of my daughter stabbing herself with a comb?
Yes. Yeah.
I think for the first time in my entire life, I started to pass out. I've never
Oh,
had that happen before,
okay.
But I think it was because I took a lot of medication and then I woke up. She's also pregnant. I thought that she was my brain was like, she's losing the baby. So I think all of that, the adrenaline, and then seeing a comb sticking out of her leg was shocking. Anyway, so as a side note. So you blacked out.
Yeah, blacked out.
I can't even imagine. Wait, let's just talk about what the labor nurses were probably saying.
They probably thought I was so dumb. It was so embarrassing. I was holding a mom's hand. She was getting an epidural, and all I was doing was holding her hand. I didn't even see the epidural, and I blacked out.
Okay, what's really funny is as a labor nurse, the majority of the times that I've had people pass out, it's the partner during the epidural.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It really
Not
is.
A student nurse.
Yeah.
I've never had a student nurse pass out.
Yeah.
I've had them turn green, like I could tell they're going to be sick or something, and I have them leave. But I've never had one in 16 years. I never had a student pass out.
Every single week.
You got that award, Lauren.
I did. The next week it was a C-section, and I only ate a banana before going because I was so nervous, which is not enough
and
food.
You passed out in the OR?
Oh, yeah. Hit my head. Yeah. Fell back, hit my head. They took me to the emergency room, and my clinical instructor said, if you don't check yourself out of the ER, I'm failing you. You need to go back to clinicals. And I was like, well, I'm not graduating late. Checked myself out, went back to clinicals and sat at the nurse's station.
Did you have to get stitches or anything? Or
no.
Okay.
Thankfully, like everything was fine. But yeah, so being a labor and delivery nurse was 100% not on my radar. I was like, keep me away from that.
I'm sure that the labor nurses were like, she can never be a labor nurse.
Oh,
no.
Absolutely. Yeah. And now it's sweet because I tell students the story all the time. I'm like, hey, it's hard because you're just watching. You're not really participating. And so, don't lock your knees and
don't
make sure you ate. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was an oncology and hospice nurse for a year. And then one of my good friends worked in labor and delivery, and we would eat at the same hospital. We would eat lunch together.
So I know this part.
Yes.
They don't. So keep going. Yeah.
She would be like, oh, I only have 20 minutes to eat with you. I have to go do a C-section. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like it just sounded cool,
Yeah.
And I was really burnt out where I was at. And she was like, just come over and see how you do. And so I ended up getting to transfer to labor and delivery. And I've been there ever since. And it is everything I could have hoped for. One of my biggest passions in life is just getting to be a part of birth. And I never would have gotten to do that if I would have, just stayed away from it because I was afraid.
Yeah. I love how that panned out, because you probably would have, like, if someone would have told you, like, at some point you're going to be obsessed with birth and we're going to labor and delivery, you're like, no, not this girl. You don't know. You don't know about that. I love that so much. So now, of course, you are doing something else on top of that. So tell everybody that as well.
Yeah. So I've been teaching childbirth classes for about the last 8 years, but this year I started working with you, Trish, and it's been so amazing. And you've really helped me kind of really listen to what God has put on my heart. And that is serving moms who love Jesus, but who also want to have that spiritual side of birth and to really be able to connect with the Lord in their birth experience. So I've created, my online course that really helps those moms bring Jesus into the birth room.
I love that so much. So I have a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
I would love to know, do you have like a go-to like few scriptures that you love for birth or? Yes. Yay. Okay,
yes,
good. So I'd love to hear. And I'm interested if they're ones that like I also feel, because I do have sort of a faith component to my birth courses. I have some prayers and scriptures, but it's not infused into the whole course, although I am a Christian and my faith is.
Yeah. So one of my favorite scriptures that helps you prepare for birth is 2 Timothy 1:7. It's God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. And I really love tying that into a breath prayer, which is simply just breathing in and exhaling. And so to tie it in with that verse, I breathe in peace and I exhale fear. So I think scripture memorization is really great, like just for us in life. And I have some memorized. I'm not the best at it. And so sometimes I think it's easier if we just memorize, okay, we're breathing in like peace from the Lord and we're exhaling fear. right? That makes it a
Yeah.
little easier too, but ties it into that verse.
I love that. I don't know if you know my story, but I went to a private Christian school that my
Oh,
whole life. Did you know that?
no.
Yeah. So I memorized scripture like a champ. This
Yeah.
girl knows them. I still like, I don't now actively always memorize scripture,
Yeah.
but I can out of nowhere, I'll hear a piece of a verse and I'm like,
I
Bible
love that.
drills, Bible verses, all the things. That was
Yeah.
my life growing up.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't raised a Christian. And so my husband was, and just, it's so interesting that like the more things that he knows are just like the childhood things for our daughter
Yeah.
too, you know?
Yeah. No, and I feel like there's a plus and a minus because for a long time, the Bible was a school book to me
Mm-hmm.
because we used it. I mean, I had Bible classes my entire school career and memorizing Bible verses. And, when you're a little kid and you're like trying to cheat on your Bible verse test, there's something really crazy about that, right?
Yeah.
Like you're cheating on the Bible verse test.
Yeah.
But so for a long time, it was just a textbook to me.
Mm-hmm.
So there, obviously that changed for me at a certain point. So I would love to also ask you, because as a fellow labor and delivery nurse, what do you think that the common misconceptions about labor pain and going unmedicated or natural birth, what do you think? Like, I'd love to like kind of riff with you as a labor nurse. What do you think that some of the common misconceptions of people think when it comes to labor pain? Because I
Yeah.
have some thoughts on that. I'd love to
Yeah.
hear yours.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing that came to mind, I think, is one of the biggest misconceptions is that you don't have to prepare because you're just planning on getting an epidural,
Yeah.
right?
And we both know that's a joke.
Yes. Yeah. What
Because
if
the
you
epidural
can't
is
get it?
not guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed if you can't
Yeah.
get it or if it doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Or there's a
And
line of other moms ahead of you, which we know
oh,
happens.
yes.
And even if that's the case, maybe you end up getting it, but you might have to wait 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you do in the meantime if you have no
Exactly.
tools?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I feel a lot of people don't understand that unless they've
Mm-mm.
taken a birth course and they're prepared.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it always breaks my heart when I'm the nurse in triage saying, so it's going to be a little bit,
Yeah.
you know?
Or they get an epidural and it doesn't work for them.
Yes.
That I think is the worst.
That really is, because this is not what we prepared for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they have a hot spot, which for those of you guys listening, a hot spot is like you just have an area that's not covered.
Mm-hmm.
I have never had an epidural. I've had all of mine unmedicated. So I can't say this with experience, but experience of watching it, I feel like the thought to me is if you have all this coverage, but this one spot, I feel like that would be even more intense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mentally too, because you weren't prepared for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder if it's like a little bit better than feeling everything everywhere. You know what I mean? But still, the expectation is it's not working.
But pain is pain. So if it's there,
yeah.
I think another misconception that I personally really educate on is that because it's so painful, you have to be so scared and freaked out.
Yeah.
And that is not true. Yes, it's painful. And I don't know about you, but like this whole pain-free birth thing really ticks me off.
Not a fan.
We're setting people up for failure here when you say, oh, you can have a pain-free birth. You can have a birth you love.
I tell you when I was pregnant, I followed all the pain-free birth stuff. And then when I was in labor, and I did Christian hypnobirthing, I told all my coworkers I'm not getting an epidural. I did all of that.
Yeah.
And when I was in labor and I was like, it hurts. And I felt like I wasn't close to God. Like it really messed with me.
Or you're doing something wrong because why is it hurting when she said it could be pain-free?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's what I don't like at all.
I agree.
I feel the same thing in the business coaching world with all these people who are like, oh, you can create a Canva and an account and you'll make 10K a month. And I'm like, I work my butt off. Like that is not right. And then I think in both cases, you're setting people up for failure.
I agree.
Because I tell my students, it is going to hurt. It is painful, but it's manageable. And if you have the right tools, you can actually, like, I loved now I did have one daughter who was straight OP. She's the one, she's sitting out there right now pregnant. And that threw me for a loop because of the back pain. But other than that, I was very in control, and it was very quick because she was baby number 5. So it wasn't like a long-term situation, but I feel like they're really doing these women a disservice. And I've had 16 years. I did have one patient who had a disorder that she couldn't feel pain. She had a pain-free birth.
I love that.
And it was scary as hell. No, it was not. It was not good because she couldn't tell what was happening. And this is kind of a funny story. So we were super, super busy. I was on a travel assignment in Texas, and I had taken a patient over to postpartum. They're like, you have another patient in triage. She's like 4 to 5 centimeters, first baby. She's young. She was a younger girl. You need to take her to her labor room. So I go and get her, and I always walk them to the labor room. That's just my jam. And so I'm walking her, and I know, you know how you know the assessment questions, and you're like, I'm going to do them on the way. So I'm asking her, and I get to, have you seen any other specialists, or have you had to see other doctors? And she's like, oh yeah, well, I have to go into the city, the big city, because I have, and she tells me the disorder, and she's like, and I can't feel pain. And I was like, oh, shoot, because she's like, she also told me if she gets stressed out, she passes out. So I'm like, oh, fun. So I'm like, okay. So I get her in the room, I get her in bed, and I check her. She is complete +1.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
I'm like, but I don't want to, want to freak her out because I don't want her to pass out.
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, okay, I'm pushing the call line. I'm like, hey, can I get a delivery team in here like right now? Yeah. And her mom, so then she's telling me that her mom stresses her out and she passes out because of her mom all the time. Her mom walks in at that point. I was like, could anything else happen right now? But stressful. We did not have any pass out. I did have to sit mom in the corner because she was stressing me out too. And we had a baby like 8 minutes later.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was like, okay, lovely. Yeah. So that was a pain-free birth. That was, I went off on a tangent, but that was a pain-free birth.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it wasn't actually like, she wasn't excited about it.
Oh yeah. At least she was there.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. Yeah.
That would have been a rough surprise at home.
Yeah, it would have been. Yes. So anyway, that was a pain-free birth. I do not like the whole concept of people saying that because it is painful. And for those of you guys listening, it's painful, but our bodies are so incredible. Like God made them so incredible that at the same time, our body also has what you need to handle it.
Yes.
So it is painful, but if you have the tools and you lean into what your body is doing, and I believe that's all mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But like even just the way that God made our hormones is so beautiful, right? Like just the way that oxytocin and prostaglandins work and how endorphins work. Like it's just so cool that he knew that we needed this.
Yeah.
And he gave it to us.
Yeah. And that's what Lauren's talking about. I love this, that the hormone, which we also call the love hormone, is the primary hormone for birth. So the love hormone is entangled into this process. And then we have these natural narcotics that flood our system when you are in labor. Of course, we have to work against adrenaline and other things that combat that, but that's where education and preparation comes in, which is amazing.
So good.
I love it. So I would love to hear, what would you say to moms? Because one of the big things that I talk about and I stand on is speaking up and advocating for yourself in the hospital. What is your stance on, like, what are some of the ways that these moms, obviously they need to be educated, but what are some ways that you teach your students or you teach your patients to speak up when it comes to advocating? Because we know there's some nurses and doctors that are hard to speak up to.
I actually have a funny story about this.
Okay. Yeah.
So I had a patient come in for her scheduled induction, like 6 a.m. And her husband, we're still friends to this day. Like we were not friends. I'm their nurse. We just met.
Yeah.
And they came in for their induction and they're just funny people. Like you just get along right away. And so the dad, I do all of the education for the induction and they were like, yeah, we didn't take a birth class. And I was like, well, guys, I'm going to give you one here in a 20-minute birth class. This is it for you, you know? Yeah. So I just kind of went over all the important stuff. And one of them is how to advocate for yourself in labor. I feel like that's one of the most important things.
It is the most important, especially if you get pulled somewhere else or you leave and go home.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I really just go over the BRAIN acronym, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And we go over like, what are the benefits? What are the risks, right? Alternatives. Yeah. What's your intuition telling you? So I went over all of that. And then I always want to explain to the husband, like, hey, you are that person to stand in and stick up for her and say, if you know that they're offering something she doesn't want, you can say, hey, that's actually not something we want to do. Or you can say, hey, can you step out of the room so we can have a moment to talk to each other so that there's no pressure on making your decision, right?
Yeah.
But I said, start with asking like risks and benefits. And I kid you not 5 seconds later that I finished saying that, the doctor came into the room and sat down on the stool and started talking to them. And I'm just standing there silent. And the dad looks at him and goes, can you tell me what the risks and benefits to that would be? And I'm just dying in the corner of the room.
You're like, yes.
Yeah. But it was so beautiful because dads don't know. You know what I mean? And he was like ready to jump in and advocate.
Way to go, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of him.
It was so cute. Yeah. But really, I feel like saying, you know, can I have a moment to think about this and not feeling rushed to make a decision?
And that's what, like, inside the courses, I teach them how to read the room. And you can tell when there's not time, but you still can have a pause, you know? So if your team is rushing in, people are like frantic and they're putting oxygen on you and they're flipping mom to her side and they're telling you this, that's not the time. Can everyone step out, please? It's not a good time for that.
Totally.
But being able to read the room, he comes in, he sits down on the stool. And he's like, we know the roll up on the stool sitch.
Yes.
That happens a lot. Like let me get down to your level and look you in the eye. Yeah. You know,
hey, I would prefer that over like standing in the corner.
No,
right?
I agree. But we all know the roll up. You've been at this for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to have an emergent situation here.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's great. Yeah. Okay. So now I would love to hear from you. How do you feel that the hospitals are starting to be more supportive of women who are educated and making decisions? Or do you feel like we're still fighting a battle?
You know, unfortunately, I feel like we're still fighting a battle.
Yeah.
I Marco Polo my friends on my way to work in the morning. And every morning I'm like, guys, another day. I'm here to fight the good fight.
Yeah. Nice.
And so I think it really is dependent on your provider, of course, and the nurses that are taking care of you, and why I advocate so much for you to get a doula who is on your same page, right? Who can help you advocate. And then just being educated so that you can know, like, you can say yes or no to anything, and feeling confident in that.
Yeah.
Right. I will say, though, the hospital that I work at, I'm on the team to work on building a home birth room in our hospital.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So I think progress is being made, but it just takes a team of people who are willing to, commit to do that.
Yeah. And also for labor nurses and providers to expand their knowledge base, like go out and take classes, learn more, like evidence-based birth, like do spinning babies, do things that get you outside of what we've just been taught from our policy and our handbook.
Yeah, absolutely. And
being a travel nurse did that for me. Like leaving and being able to go to other hospitals and be like, okay, so in Tennessee, it's really dangerous to eat in labor, but in Washington, it's not dangerous because bodies are different somehow.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, that's true. I will say I'm thankful for the place that I work because I've been able to educate the providers I work with And the other day I was walking down the hallway and one of the doctors was like, oh, labor Lauren, we need you in this room. And I was like, oh, okay, and so I do feel honored that the more labor nurses are going out on a limb and like taking that time to educate the providers that they work with in a loving and respectful way, I think that's where change is made. And so I'm thankful to get to be a part of that.
Let's just be real that there's some providers who are not open or willing for that.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm. Because some providers are just not for that.
I had one provider that is that person. I had her sit down and I said, feel your pelvis. I'm like, this is why we don't pull our legs back when we're pushing. And she just looked at me like I was so stupid.
I can't even believe it that you even did that with her.
Oh yeah. I was like, here, sit down, put your hands on your bottom. Let's both of this together before we go in the room. I just want you to feel what I'm trying to do.
I just have a newfound respect for you. That's pretty amazing. Because I know those doctors that are not receptive to that. That's hard to do.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you're just so sweet and nice. You probably can get away with it.
Yeah, I think so too. And I am doing it like what's best for the patient. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So.
Well, is that always their goal? I don't know.
Exactly.
Most of the time. But there are some that it's not. Like it's a very, especially those old school doctors. Like I had a doctor I worked with in Tennessee that I worked with him for years. So I had a home-based hospital and then I worked as a travel nurse. Well, I had the most cush job because I only had to do like one shift every 3 months to stay on staff. It was so perfect. And so when I would be in between travel assignments, I would work there. And we had this one doctor who's super old, very tall guy, very strong, never laughed, never smiled. And my goal was to get this guy to smile. And I finally got a little half smile out of him one time.
I love that.
I cannot tell the story on here. It's definitely between a labor nurse type story, but I got him to smile. I was so happy, but he would not have been receptive to any of that.
Yeah.
But in his defense, he also stayed out of the room until the baby was literally sliding out. So as long as I just didn't bring him in, we were golden.
Yeah.
So, which I think is another surprise to most patients.
Oh,
that they think their doctor is going to be there. And I hate to break it to you, your doctor likes to come in when your baby's about to come out.
Yeah.
Period. If we call them too soon, they don't like it.
Yeah. They want to see ears and maybe some eyebrows.
Yeah. And then they will. Okay. So we are coming to a close. Will you just you've already said your username, but tell everybody intentionally where they can find you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm Labor Lauren on Instagram and my website is laborlauren.com.
There you go. Very, very easy.
Yeah.
So this is Labor Lauren right here. Yes. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Lord and following this path. And I'm really glad you don't pass out in births anymore because we needed you.
Yeah.
I think that's so funny. I'm in awe of you that you would even be like, yeah, let me go do that after I passed out both times.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming today, Lauren.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Trish, for having me.
What an incredible conversation with Lauren. I hope her wisdom about embracing faith over fear has left you feeling empowered and excited about your own birth journey. Remember, your body was made to do this. And with the right mindset, the right support, and preparation, you can approach your birth with confidence instead of fear. If today's episode resonated with you, make sure you hit subscribe and please leave a review because it means the world to me. As always, I will see you again next Friday. Bye for now.